about to show you how to fire yourself and automate your real estate business. You see, 95% of realtors are stuck cold calling, door knocking, and doing things they absolutely hate. But there is a smart group of wealthy realtors that are leveraging a little known strategy to work less hours, get consistent deals, and make a ton of money. I know this because I've helped over 60 realtors remove themselves from their business while increasing their deal flow. It's quite simple, and I'm about to show you exactly how it works. So sit back, take out a pen and paper, and prepare to learn exactly how to fire yourself for good from your business and beat everyone in your market. Okay, now what I have pulled up right here is essentially the flywheel that we use to generate deals on Autopilot for the agents that we're actually partnered with. So today I'm going to be taking a brief overview, kind of walking you through the entire thing, how it works. So in order to generate deals on Autopilot, it's all about systems and automations. Now, so many agents rely on, doing everything themselves, and that's why agents find themselves working, 60, 70, 80 hours a week, because they're doing everything in the business themselves, because they don't take the time to learn how to automate the small stuff, how to automate those lower leverage activities so that they can focus on the more important things, which is, meeting face to face with people. And so the system that we use is broken down into three main components. There's the front end, which is how we're getting people in the door in the first place, how you're actually getting your leads, your names, your phone numbers, your emails. Then there are the other two main components in order to make this work are the ISA team, which I'm going to be showing you kind of how we have ours structured, and then the automation of the systems and everything, all of the tools that help keep everything going kind of automatically so that you don't have to waste your time doing that prospecting yourself. When it comes to getting people in the door, there's a number of different platforms you can use when it comes to paid advertising. There's Facebook, there's Instagram, there's YouTube, there's Google. So the platform that you use is really ultimately going to depend on what you're trying to do. Now, when you have a full-time ISA team in place to do all of this sorting, we've found that the most successful platform that you can use is Facebook and Instagram for the most part, because you're able to get the most amount of leads in the door for the least amount of money. And to show you some examples of what that looks like for us, here's some campaigns that we've run and some pretty basic results. We've literally generated thousands of leads on behalf of the agents that we're partnered with, and the typical cost per lead is going to range from around $5 to $10 for buyers. Sellers do tend to be a little bit more expensive, so I'll show you what some of these look like in just a second here. But seller leads, you usually want your seller lead cost to be around $10 to $15. Buyers are usually around $5 to $10, and we've seen it even get significantly lower than that. Like, here's a campaign where the average cost per lead was $3.13, and that generated over almost 600 leads here with this campaign. So that, some markets are just going to be wildly more successful than others, but overall, these are the metrics that we're kind of going for. I'm going to focus on the listing side today, just because that's what most agents actually want, is more listings. So there's a number of different angles that you can take with this. You can do a cash offer strategy where you're essentially offering people, and this is something where you're going to need a little bit more resources if you have a team of investors that are actually willing, if you have the ability to offer a seller a cash offer, whether it's through your investors, through other various companies, investment companies that you work with, things like that. That's a really powerful angle that you can use to get sellers that have a ton of intention, that are very high intent, because they're actively saying, I actually want to sell my house and I actually want a cash offer for my property. One of the alternatives that we see work really well, and a lot of agents don't like this strategy, but it's just because they don't know how to use it, is the home evaluation angle. Because people want to find out how much their house is worth, but the only reason they want to find out how much it's worth is because they want to know how much it would sell for. It's very rare that people are actually just checking in on the valuation of their home, because they're not thinking about the monetary value behind it. And so this is a way that we can get in front of potential sellers as early on in the selling process as possible. And this is all automated. You can literally hire a team to do the media buying yourself, or if you want me to, just comment down below and I'll make another video on how to actually run these ads yourself. But getting leads in the door is going to be the first step. So you can literally take inspiration from some of these examples right here. And like I said, on the seller side, the metric you're usually looking for is around $10 to $15 per lead. Now, from there, now that you're getting consistent leads in the door, you're going to be having, you're going to need somebody to call these leads essentially, right? Because when you're generating leads all day long, if you're in a listing appointment, if you're in a buyer's broker's consultation, if you're at an inspection, if you're doing a walkthrough, you are not going to be able to call you're not going to be able to pull out your phone and call those leads minutes within them coming into the system. And this is super, super important because speed to lead is one of the most important factors that beats so many agents when it comes to online lead generation, is because they lack it. They lack a good speed to lead. MIT did a study on speed to lead, and the difference between calling a lead 5 minutes within them coming into the system and 30 minutes within them coming into the system was insane. It was like 30x. It was ridiculous. So people, it makes a huge difference when you call these leads minutes of them coming into the system versus, waiting 30 minutes or an hour. So if you're in the middle of an appointment and you can't get to it, that's going to cause a lot of problems for you. Now, what a lot of agents struggle with is having an ISA that's actually going to do a good job when it comes to qualifying the leads. So we've tracked what the most important things are to actually have in mind. And you can even get more specific with this, like to walk you through kind of what our process looks like. It starts with ISA training, right? You need to train your ISAs. So we do daily setting and role play, hopping on, role playing with them. Like, you have to practice with them. So many people think you just hire an ISA and that's it. You still need to train with them a little bit, but it's better for you to take 1 hour out of your day and train somebody else to be really good on the phones than you have to be on the phones all day yourself. And the reason that is because pickup rate can be extremely low. The people that we're talking to, it's not their job to answer the phone. And so these people, they can be very difficult to get connected to. You may have to call them 10, 15, 20 times before they finally answer the phone and you have a really good conversation with them. But it's better for somebody else to be making those first 19 calls than you making those calls and just wasting more of your time. So instead, your time is better off spent, whether it's 30 minutes or an hour a day, practicing with them, really training your ISA on the market to help them be able to actually have high quality conversations with these. And you want to be tracking their KPIs every single day, monitoring their pickup rate, monitoring their conversion rate, tracking how many quality conversations they're having and how many appointments they're actually booking for you. So data is super, super key to doing all of this. And then obviously, like, if your pickup rate is, there are things you can do when metrics are out of line. So if your pickup rate is really low, then it's like, okay, increase the number of phone calls that you're making. You need to double dial them. You start using voicemail drops or change the time of the day that you're actually calling these leads. Or maybe swap out the phone numbers that you're calling them from. If they're showing up as spam, that could be a possibility as well. If your lead to booking rate is low, that's a problem in what the ISA is actually saying on the phone. So you need to make some adjustments to your script, or you need to continue role playing with them and work on their tonality a little bit more so they can make better connections with these homeowners. Now, when it comes to actually connecting, with the leads and collecting the information that you need, you want to monitor the things that are going well as well. So if your pickup rate is really high, pay attention to what you're doing. Pay attention to the time of day that your ISA is calling. Pay attention to, how many times they're calling them. These are all really important things to watch so that like, if this is working well, let's double down on this. Now, if your lead to booking rate is really high, then we can increase the amount of pre-qualification you can do. So to start out, I would actually have your ISA maybe collect just a few pieces of information, nothing too crazy. And the better they get, the more information you can have them collect. Now, what we have our ISAs collecting on behalf of our agents is, number one, their budget. Number two, their time frame. Number three, their motivation behind why are they buying or selling? And obviously, if we're speaking in terms of sellers, then you're talking, time frame. When do you want to actually be in the new property? Budget, how, what kind of property are you going to be purchasing? Another property? Like, how much are you going to be willing to pay for it? Financial status, are they going to be using the cash that they got from selling this property to purchase their next property? We have our ISAs figure out all what's going on there. And then their search criteria. So what do they actually want in a new home? And we've seen that when talking to sellers, it tends to be better to focus on the next property rather than focus on the small details of their current property, because it's better to get you in the door, get a foot in the door, so you can start working on that relationship with that seller, so that, you know, you've already made a good connection with them and you've discussed like their dreams, what they're trying to achieve, what kind of house they actually want to be in. That way, you know, when it comes to selling the house, that's a conversation that can happen second to the one that they actually want to have, because selling is a huge pain. No one really wants to sell a house, but the benefit of doing so is going to be being in their dream home, whatever they're trying to do. And the last thing we always want to touch on, because this is super, super important, if you go out to check out a property and you find, oh, I'm already working with another agent, that's going to be a huge waste of your time. So we have ours make sure every single time that they're not already working with another agent. Now that you've automated like your calling and everything, you have your ISA in place, they're making all those phone calls for you, you've eliminated that part of the project from your plate. Now you are going to be focusing on automating the long-term follow-up. And you can do this, you know, you can have your ISA technically do all of this stuff, continue to text and email, but then it gets to the point where you need to automate some of the things that they're doing so that they can focus on making more phone calls and speaking on the phones more frequently. So this is where a lot of automation tools come into place. Now, almost every CRM has the capability to do this. There's, you know, Go High Level, there's Follow Up Boss, there's HubSpot, there's Brevity, there's Lofty. Every CRM has these automation tools, but most people don't know how to use them is the big thing, or they don't even know that they have them. So again, if you want me to make a video on this, just comment down below and I'll make a video on how to use these automation softwares and how we actually have our messaging structured. But when it comes to those follow-up touch points, you want to be hitting people from multiple channels. You want to be texting them, you want to be emailing them, you want to be leaving voicemail drops, and then obviously you have the ISA team actually making calls. So in the first month of somebody coming in, we have 14 extra touch points coming out every single month. So in the first month, there's 14 touch points from SMS and email. In the second month, there's 7. And then after that, by the end of the third month, we're doing a reactivation campaign. So we're triggering the entire system to send a message, a blast message out to every single person in the system who hasn't like opted out or anything to get re-engaged. So some checking back in with you. Hey, I know you were looking at the value of your property. Did you ever get the estimate that you were looking for? Something super simple. A lot of people make it really casual. People are going to respond to it. It's not that, it doesn't need to be that complex. And there's not really any, you know, super like complicated ways of structuring your messages. The biggest thing is just making them look like an actual like person, not having it look like super ugly automated messages, something kind of like this. So this is probably, I want to say this is like our 8th or 9th message to go out, or 8th or 9th text message to go out. This is probably maybe 10 days after they actually came into the system. They opted in through one of the ads. Or sending them a text message, just curious, what would your dream house even look like? I don't know why they didn't respond to every single other message, but this one finally caught their attention. Do you have anything without a pool? Oh, well, that's because the campaign that we were running was for properties that had a pool. So maybe this guy isn't interested in actually having a pool. So that was the reason he didn't, you know, opt in before, or he didn't respond to any of the messages before, but this one finally caught, you know, his attention, and, you know, and he saw it worthy of actually responding back. So that's kind of the thought process behind this. And these are things that you can monitor all the time. So pay attention to what messages are actually getting responses and track that data, because the data is so important. This is going to help you make decisions and improve your systems all the time. It's better for you to spend 2 hours a day working on systems like this and streamlining and automating your funnel and your process to actually getting the more appointments on the calendar, rather than 2 hours a day straight making calls. Yes, you may book a couple extra appointments, but if you can focus on building systems like this, then that's going to allow you to book dozens of appointments over the course of hours. You know, if you can keep on refining these systems, this is going to allow you to do so much more. So the end goal here is to optimize for responsiveness. That way you have an automated follow-up system that's engaging with people month over month over month over month. You have a high quality ISA that's vetting every single prospect that comes into your system. And these don't just have to be from paid lead sources. If you're still doing open houses, if you're doing 3 open houses a week, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, that's what you want to spend your time doing and that's how you collect contacts, that's fine too. Add those people to your database, and then you can have your ISA following up with them. You can also use like for sale by owners. That's a great way to pull listings in the door, for sale by owners or expireds, and you can have your ISAs calling those people for you. Now, we do a lot of paid ads because we see the return to be so much bigger than what you actually spend on it if you're able to get leads in for very, very cheap. So that's what we're doing for most of the agents that we're partnered with. But there's a lot of flexibility to how you can build these systems to fit into your business. So that kind of wraps up how we're able to generate deals for agents on Autopilot and how you can do the same and kind of take inspiration from some of the strategies that we're using. If you ever want to take a look at potentially partnering up with us and having us take all of this stuff off your plate, go ahead and click the link down below in the description, book a call with our team, and we'll see if we can help you out.